Good morning, everybody. I'm David, and I'm here with Lewis. He's a Neurorights advocate, and he's going to do a presentation today. Sorry if I seem a little off. I got attacked really hard last night, and I got this hat on me right now. I got to get another one because it's fixing to warm up, and then I'm going to have to put it in the freezer and wait on it to freeze again. So I'm going to read a devotion before we start, and also remember, hollyspunk@gmail.com is where you set up interviews if you'd like to interview. I've had a couple of people basically seem to be wasting my time, but it's all good. It happens. But yeah, if you're serious about an interview and would like to get your story out there, please go to hollyspunk@gmail.com. And he's going to, Lewis is going to explain brain to computer interface a little bit too before he starts. I'm going to turn it over to him. He's going to be sharing the screen. It's going to be about 45 minutes. But before that, I'm going to read this devotion. No matter where we go, organized gang stalking is already set in motion and eagerly awaiting our arrival. Anxiety rapidly grows when turmoil festers in us. Our mind is unable to rest when we are filled with anxiety. By exuding these lower frequencies of energy, we can bring evil in closer proximity to us. Since gang stalkers are everywhere all the time, they drain our energy to where we give off these lower vibrations. Being incessantly watched like a lab rat can drive us crazy if we're not linked to an anchor of hope. There is life where there is hope. We will burn out if we stay steadfast on the violations and invasions they execute on us. The same goes for the physical invasion of direct energy weapons, another traceless form of torture. The Holy Spirit lives in us and helps us to hear God so we can arm ourselves with his mindset. Today I do not have an anxious mind. I have the mind of Christ. I will not deprive myself of anything good. I'm going to turn it over to you now to share the screen, Lewis, and I thank you for coming out, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for that devotional. Okay, so here I am on David Atkins' podcast, which I'm happy to be here. He's a very popular fellow in the community, and a lot of people know who he is, and they watch his videos and they follow him. So I'm thankful for the work that he does, for sure. He continuously makes videos, and even though a lot of times are hard for a lot of different people, a lot of us. So with that, I just move on. Some couple of petitions I'm trying to get signatures on. I just started this whole campaign up, but been planning on certain things for a while. So these petitions go into legal investigation from the Human Health Services or Health and Human Services to have immediate removal of devices. If you have evidence for these devices, such as BCI units, brain-computer interfaces, that somehow end up in your body, whether from a healthcare provider, a doctor, or some company or a private entity that does therapy or something. Anybody. They all fall up under the guidelines of HIPAA, which is your personal private data, your medical records, and all this stuff. And if they're injecting you with devices that's being potentially sent off to a third party entity that could be collecting your data without your consent, which is a big issue these days. A lot of people are doing it, which is why the Neurorights bills are coming out to protect neural identity and everything that's tied to that. So, and then the second petition is the opt-out medical. You basically you never received informed consent that you were going to be initiated to these tortures that you're going through. And you should be able to opt out from the government to get out of whatever system or program that they have you in. This is completely illegal. Nobody can do this without your consent outright. Other than that, we'll move on. So you just log into the change.org and then go to the petitions.
You haven't shared your screen yet.
Oh, it's not sharing? Okay, let me share
Uh-uh.
it right quick. Okay, sorry about that, sir.
Sorry about that. He's fixing to show you some stuff on the screen while he talks.
Okay, so here are the petitions at change.org. Okay, Lewis Rowe.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, petitions. So we got two of them.
And what website's this on?
It's on change.org.
Okay. So
Okay,
these petitions are these, see, I've seen petitions on change.org. So these are legit petitions.
yeah,
I always thought they were something that wasn't even legit. So I hadn't even been, so now that I know, I'll start signing them.
Yeah, I mean it's a platform where you can get signatures for a key issue that you can use, and you can export all that data onto a
Right.
spreadsheet and send it over to whoever you want it to go to. So in this case, getting two or three, four or five different petitions, getting signatures from everywhere would definitely help the situation on, going to the Health and Human Services because right now people are getting a lot of evidence. They're getting scans done, nonlinear junction and thermal that leads to BCI units or some kind of frequency unit implanted inside their body. So that's good. That's happening. So with that, with that kind of initiative taking place, that allows
So
more doors open up for the community of people that are being afflicted and tortured to potentially get some help. California is about to pass that Neurorights bill, and I think that, in some cases, there's going to be potential help for that because it does recognize neural afflictions. It does recognize, well, not neural afflictions. It doesn't necessarily say that, but it does say manipulation of your neural sensitivities. But yeah, signing these petitions are going to help me uh, get through and do what I plan to do, and along with other people. A lot of people have a lot of plans of what to do, but this is one good initiative from my advocacy group to do some stuff. I'm ranked pretty well on the web right now, so I'm recognized by Google in different areas. I'm right below the Neurorights Foundation. So, um, and that's good. That's good. Now let's move on to the
so you go to
presentation.
change.org and you type in your name, Lewis Rowe.
Yeah, you just type in the name. Or just go to advocacyforneurorights.org. I got the information on the front page of the website with the petitions that you can go
Okay.
on and just go into the change.org and then start signing off. Okay.
And
All
it
right.
don't cost
So,
money or nothing, right?
I mean, if you wanna pay a little bit, yeah. I mean, you can chip in $1 or two if you want. That's all up to you. You don't have to. But people are paying money for the petitions to get promoted. So yeah, I mean, dollar, $2, whatever.
But if you don't have it, you don't have to pay, right?
No, you don't have to pay it. You can
Okay.
share it. You don't have to pay it. No, not at all. You can just sign it. Yeah, that's all up to you. So, petition to Health and Human Services. Here are the petitions. If you want to take a screenshot of that when you're watching the video for your viewers, or the viewers take a screenshot to write down the petitions, to actually join the petition and sign it. Okay. Okay, so we have HIPAA, Health and Human Services petitions, and all right, okay, moving on. Okay, so HIPAA violations. I explained earlier about the HIPAA violations, how it's basically compliance for all medical entities or corporations or companies, anybody that would um, have anything to do with medical or anything like that. So that's basically your HIPAA violations, that your information is being sold off or transferred and your data is going from one place to the next. So, brief explanation, implantation without consent is a HIPAA violation due to the uninformed consent from the patient. Primary healthcare doctors, ER visits may have had the opportunity for subjection of an individual to implants. All healthcare providers, including federal agencies, are included under the HIPAA compliance or the compliance of HIPAA. All right, and here's a brief what is consenting? Consent, giving permission or agreeing to something. It involves an involuntary and informed decision. I can't see that because my thing's in the way. Let me go back. All right, sorry. All right. Made without any coercion or pressure. So nobody can pressure you into a consenting. All right. So there's a big difference between informed consent and uninformed consent. When you're going to a doctor and you do a medical release or a consenting form, if it's a procedure or something they have to put on you, informed consent is where the legality hides behind or lies behind the HIPAA, and they have to inform you about what they're going to do. They can't just give you a form and expect you to sign it and that's your consent because you don't know what's on there. You're not a doctor. You don't know. You're not going to be able to explain every little detail that's on that page, but it is a written legal document that's there for you to consent to. So you might have signed something along the way over the years that you didn't read, and boom, which can bring you into a whole area of networks. You'll be everywhere. Your information is sent out everywhere. All right, especially if it's a private medical entity or a firm, or they're being a hospital being paid to do certain researches, which there are law cases that say that they do. All right. So unauthorized human experimentation that can lead to the consent form. If you sign it and you didn't read it, they might have something in there in the verbiage, very small, but it does say with big meanings that you can be experimented on. So that's my brief explanation about how half the country's population in the United States is being targeted like they are. I mean, it's somewhat in that area. A lot of it is in that area. Okay, so if it can happen to the people that have court cases, it can happen to you same way. All right, so unauthorized experimentation leading to non-consensual procedures with severe disabilities or severe physical and mental distress. Um, Never agreed to have information disclosed for data gathering, remote AI brain processing, surveillance, implantation of devices, a long duration of years. A long duration of years is almost an indefinite time of research and keeping you locked into this mainframe of what they're doing and GPS tracking. All right, moving on. Okay, so the potential risks are mental distress and anxiety, depression, PTSD, physical harm, pain, injury, potential death. You can die from these things. If if it is a human research type subject thing, then they can't outright just murder you. I mean, it is murder, but they can't outright just kill you, because that would be a problem. Especially when it comes to human research and all that, it falls into certain categories, even though what they're doing is illegal anyway. But still, in the same sense, if you did consent somewhere and you didn't know about it and without informed consent, I mean, there's an opt-out issue with that, but they can't kill you. All right, so privacy violations, unauthorized data collection and surveillance. But if you did die from it, you would just be considered as a failure, subject failure. All right, so that's how they look at it. They look at things really weird up in the big areas. All right, so petition goals demand that all medical procedures, including human experimentation, implantation devices, and data gathering, be conducted only with explicit information or informed consent. So there's that informed consent part again. They have to tell you the procedure, what they're going to do verbally. So, and without informed consent, any individual may opt out, which you can opt out anyway. Any human experimentation, you can opt out of that here in the United States. So you have the without discrimination, without anything legally binding. If it's something that you consent to, you can opt out at any time. And this is an issue because we're not allowed to opt out because we don't know who they are. So if we're petitioning the Human Health Services, if they have records, any kind of data, any kind of resource methods based off of this, then they would have that. All right, so ensure transparency and accountability in all medical practices, subjection for a long duration of
So
processes.
these petitions,
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt you, but these petitions, the more people that sign them, the more chances that this stuff goes, that all the stuff that you're saying, these goals happen, right?
Yeah, that's where a lot of things take place when you're doing petitions. You know, getting those signatures are so important, especially when it comes to people that want to see something done about it. If it's a public strike or a public spark, then yeah, it'll totally change political aspects and views based upon, like what should we do? How can we handle it? Legislations, policies, investigations, even. It goes into a lot of areas, petitioning the people. But these are momentums, and it's a basic campaign. You have to campaign for this stuff. You have to keep pushing for everything that you got to try to see some change, especially with inside the government, because if they're not doing anything, and if they receive petitions and all that, then they're not trying to do anything. Then, well, all right, next slide. All right, right to opt out. Right to opt out allow individuals to opt out of any medical procedures or data gathering activities without penalties or discrimination. It's your right to opt out at any time. It doesn't matter what you have in your body. It doesn't matter what they're doing to you. It doesn't matter if it costs billions of dollars. You still have the right to opt out. Nobody has the right to tie on to you like this. Protect personal data such as myself, I just that's what the guidelines say when I talk about this stuff because it's clearly written in the federal government that you can't do this, but it persists. So protect personal data, ensure it is not shared or used without explicit consent. There's that consent part again. You have to consent. You have to have informed consent, but somewhere along the way, because they can get away with certain aspects on a consent form, especially at a hospital. You don't know who they are, who owns the hospital, what's the background story, who the doctors are, but we go in there because we believe that they're there to help us. Okay. All right. Petition reparations for victims. This is reparations included into the petition. I think right now reparations are definitely, I mean, but they have been for a while, a long time, but reparations right now for sure. Just yeah. So provide adequate, effective, and prompt reparations proportional to the gravity of the violations and harm suffered. Okay. Forms of reparation include restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, and satisfaction for the legal justice system to make full effect with witness protection programs. Now, that's an interesting part because if you're going through the HHS and they accept everything and petitioning the government and say, hey, these people are going to need police protection. They need to be in a witness program because that's what they are, the witnesses. So that means that, that whoever did this to you could potentially have another act of violence or a criminal, you know, whatever it is that they do. So just protect the victims because that's very important, especially through any kind of legal proceeding, investigation, or court proceeding. Witness protections programs from who these people are is the best objective. That's how serious this thing is. Very serious. So moving on. Let's see. Legal protections for victims of corporate and government. I got my screen share. It's all up in the way. All right. Government implementation violations. Um, access to legal remedies, challenges, and solutions victims also often face. Practical legal obstacles such as lack of funding, and a lot of TIs don't have funding to get help. Some do, a lot do, but some don't. And that this whole program, this thing keeps you under. So it's very hard. Um, access to evidence and enforcement issues, addressing these challenges require stronger legal frameworks and support systems to ensure victims can seek justice effectively. Now that would be a helpful platform right there if we were to do that. If they were actually to accept that petition, they did that legal framework where people can get compensation and get funding to get the help that they need from the government to be able to attack whatever's going on inside their body and around their area from the people that are doing it, to be able to get themselves help in some way besides just being constructed all the time. That's insane. And
Yeah, you may
money.
have to give me some links to these things because I went to change.org and I can't find it nowhere.
Yeah, it's
It won't let you type your name in and search.
well, just look up advocacy for neural rights. Just go to the website, advocacyforneuralrights.org. It'll
Okay.
be on the front page. Okay. Legal protections by authorities petitioning the government to have protections for victims of legal implantation, petitioning on creating a special protections framework for citizens in America. Just legal protections. That's something that definitely needed because these people are monsters. All right, so let's see. What can you do if you have evidence of illegal BCIs in your body? Health and Human Services, the Office of Civil Rights, OCR. Okay, that's a whole nother initiative with the Health and Human Services, where they have a civil rights department that you can complain to. If there's a HIPAA violation or anything like that, you should be able to complain to them. So my key is explaining the neural right violations tied to these units because these things are so medically common these days that procedures and surgical procedures that when doctors put BCIs inside patients and it's tied onto an AI network that monitors every action and then uses algorithms to cause those actions inside the brain, that it's just the same way. It's so medically common these days. I can't see this not going anywhere. All right. So HIPAA violations occurring during the time of information that you're given away through any government company, healthcare providing entity. So at the point that you receive this procedure that they did this, then that's automatic HIPAA violation because then they're not going to be notified of your procedure at that point. And then you have your information being sold from the records that you already previously had before the procedure ever existed. Especially if he's a primary healthcare provider, that would be bad. Which has a lot of legal obligation ties to that, and we don't want to, let that just sink through. But explain, and let me move on. Explain how it is in the Health and Human Services job to facilitate these multifaceted issues. Explain how it is the Health and Human Services job to facilitate these multifaceted issues. It's their job to look at what's going on. It's their job to investigate it. It's their job to create policies. It's their job to do all these things for the legal side and the policy making and the legislations and everything else that's tied to that. And you know what? As a matter of fact, the Health and Human Services controls the DoD, the contractors, the military. They control all these little aspects. So that means that if they fall into the HIPAA, so they can't necessarily just do something to somebody like the NIH, where you might be able to go to that hospital, or it's normally for other people, but just in the sense that you did go to that hospital and they did do something to you, that would be a HIPAA violation. And so the military or anybody like that would be up under HIPAA violations due to these occurrences. All right. It doesn't matter who you are, you can't do this to people. All right. So let's see. Let me just. All right. So the Office for Civil Rights at the Department of Health and Human Services investigates complaints of HIPAA violations. You can file a complaint with OCR, the Civil Rights Department, if you believe or have evidence. This should occur as a group jointly complaining to the Office of Civil Rights through the Health and Human Services. We need not to be silent. This needs to be heard from every part of government about the faceted ambitions of this network program that led to your torture. All right, moving on. Okay. So this is brain computer processing right here. And this is a bit of a tidy situation, but it's easy. It's easy to comprehend. It's actually real easy what they do. I have like brain stimulation devices, deep brain stimulators, like electrodes that can be implanted into your brain. In some cases, people think that it grows inside you, which that is very probable with the applications and technologies that they have. It can self-replicate and do all these things with the nanos, and they're so small they're almost organic. You can't see them on MRI scans or anything like that, besides a nonlinear junction scan, which is around 433 megahertz per unit. So, or 450 megahertz per unit. So if you have like 9 different units inside your body, that's producing 450 megahertz each. That's a lot of megahertz right there. Okay. So, um, all right. So remote data collection BCIs can collect brain data from patients. And this is the patient aspect. This is where they do use BCIs illegally that's tied to the patient and the neural network that they have tied to the devices. So that's an area of expertise that they've been doing for a while. But it was just less common to the public, but they were probably in more testing procedural areas with these things because, well, we'll get into that. All right. So remote data collection, BCIs can collect brain data from patients in remote locations, aiding in research diagnostics. AI processes this data to identify patterns and potential uses. So, okay, so applications for a brain-computer interface in present healthcare setting, and Intech Open is one of the companies that initiate this stuff, and they do articles and whatnot. So signal processing, you have the pre-processing where it's already been initiated. They have the application platform, which is right down here. And then you have the feature extraction, which is your data signal, synchronization, and all these things that are tied to the BCI unit that can read the neural activity in the brain, and the classification pattern recognition, where it recognizes the patterns that was already pre-opted into the devices and the neural networks and computers. Then it goes down to control devices, like cybernetic arms, things like that. If you're using a cybernetic arm, it uses all these different things, AI algorithms, BCIs, your nerves tied onto your robotic arm to get it to move. So, and then it goes down to the application, then feedback goes into the brain. The brain sends out information, goes back around, comes back down, application, goes back into the brain. So uh, it's encoding or decoding and encoding information. Decode and encode. That's what the AI algorithms do. Encode, decode. Just remember that. Encode, decode. Every time if you have like a VTK effect where you're hearing, which is your data signal analyzation, where it collects all the data, encodes it really, really quick. It's really fast, and it's already pre-op. Like we're here
Or when you
pre-processing.
react, or when you react to street theater, gang stalking, them emotions with fear and stuff, them raw emotions get mined too.
Yeah, that's all information that they can read. Everything that you're going through, anxiety, pain, suffering, it's all information being read. All of it. So it's just remember, encode, decode. So if you have VTK, then you're receiving data signal analyzation that leads down into the processing that was already pre-op before. So they've been doing neural modeling concepts, computers for this for a long time. All right, moving on. And this is the first medical implantation BCI unit. Neurosurgeon Roy, neuroscientist Philip R. Kennedy implanted a neurotropic electrode in the motor cortex of a patient um, at Emory University Hospital. The BCI allowed to patient control brain computer cursor using their thoughts. So, and then this is the device right here. That's a little electrode. And this is from the 90s. I mean, look at that. It's crazy. See that, David?
First man was implanted in human 1998.
Yeah, that's an electrode that goes into your brain. Look at that.
Wow.
And it reads signals. Check that out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a neurotropic
Allowed the
electrode.
patient to control a computer using their thoughts. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes into the intracortical nerve where all your information comes in and goes out. Everything that you feel, everything that you think goes into the cortical nerve. And that's you can control a person that way. If you have a device right there
Yeah.
in the cortical nerve, then it's over. All right. So this was created back in 1996, and they did all that at Emory Hospital. So it's crazy. All right, moving on. Okay, so like the N3 project from DARPA, minimal invasive BCI injections where they can
Yeah.
inject
Hey, watch that word,
what?
the INJ word. You can't really say that.
Oh, okay. Well, this isn't, yeah, okay. The development, okay.
Just call it INJ.
All right, INJ method,
Sorry, man. That's
INJ
just the way the platform's
method.
set up. Sucks.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the N3 INJ project is a minimal and almost barely invasive way of putting devices in your body, so they can inject people with it. But
Oh, come on,
but
man.
but
You
they
said
say
it
that this
again.
is but they say that this is back in 2019, and I mean there's court cases leading back to 2011, 2010, and even before then with this kind of stuff. So 2019 was not the only area. I'm not saying that that's the official verbiage, but it is for the N3 project at least. So that's the N3 project that uh, people need to know more about. That's a big one. Okay, it says that they do that. All right. All right, so petition continuation, creating more petitions that are against illegal BCI use and implantation, leading to outstanding number of individuals subjected to torture and networks. Petitioning for new legislation to make this type of subjection illegal and recognized by the government with immediate relief and compensation. And the California Neurorights law could potentially provide an absolute guarantee that victims of torture and BCIs may be able to submit complaints based upon units that are implanted in the body. Okay. And we're going to go into a little bit about the California Neurorights bill. And this bill's pretty important. I know Colorado's already got theirs. Like I think California's legislation is a little bit different. It's got more information to it. That's not just an amended Privacy Act, but it's got a lot of different things that go into the consumer protections and personal identity and all this stuff, which Colorado legislation says the same thing. So, um, California Neurorights Bill, protection of privacy. Let's see, the bill S 1223, sponsored by Neurorights Foundation and supported by several Colorado state legislators to enact neural rights law in California. All right, so they're the ones that know all about the N3 project. They're doing all the laws, and probably without them, we would probably wouldn't be where we are right now because they're going way down into the neural technologies and explaining all these things and how they're operating and AI and the algorithms and what they're doing. You know, if you can have a particular device that you're using, it can read all your brain activity and who knows where that goes. And somebody's going to be there to collect it. Somebody's going to be there to collect it, try to sell it. And that's the biggest part is your data that's being stolen. So nobody knows what they're doing with it. There's no protections. There's basically because consumer products are way different, but the outline of neural rights is your personal identity and your data and your cognitive liberty, which is where we're at, where we're trying to get to. But with corporations and big businesses doing all these things, it's hard to have anything with cognitive liberty because they believe that they're in some sort of control aspect where they can do all these things. All right, so um, but it's that belief where they think that they can do all this stuff without, and that they're the future of the world when they're doing all these innovations. Well, nobody voted for this. Nobody said that they can do this to the body, and then nobody said that they can manipulate the entire interface of the world with this stuff. All right, no, I didn't say that. I didn't say they could do that. All right, so anyway, but they'll hopefully soon find out that no, you can't do it. Sorry. So this law will recognize actual data sensitivity that belongs to the brain. The law also requires consent before acting upon the brain to change or manipulate any central activities that could change the personal identity, including privacy of thoughts and self-cognitive control. That's your spatial recognition, that's your balance, that's you moving around, that's you doing your daily tasks and performances and functions when you're waking up, getting coffee. I mean, you should not be monitored, controlled, stimulated, followed, tracked, listened to, have cameras in your brain, BCI units, following your neuronal activity, and basically encoding and decoding methods of doing whatever it is that they do to you to sedate you and keep you away from society, basically. Um, because they have all kinds of methods that they do, and it's intense. All right, so this law would enact certain potentials with HHS, HIPAA, OCR, and any other law requirements tied to personal data, consent, and transfer of data without permission. Any irregular action against data policies will be considered a crime, um, which would be recognized as a neural rights crime or violation based off that. Um, So that also includes illegal chipping, illegal use of frequencies, and so forth. Any remote technology retrieving data will be considered a network of crime. Okay, moving on. This is the end. Thank you for watching this presentation. Thank you for viewing this presentation. Handles for social media. I'm on YouTube at Advo for Neurorights. Instagram is Advo for Neuro.rights. I forgot that is. And then I'm on LinkedIn, Advo for Neurorights. And then I have the listing of the 5 neurorights, which is your right to mental privacy, your right to personal identity, the right to free will, the right to equal access to mental augmentation, and the right to protection from bias, which means you can't be discriminated against. So, Advocacy for Neural Rights, the second ranked SEO on the web, advocacyforneuralrights.org. Thank you.
Well, thank
Oh,
you.
and just let me go back to the petition side here. Follow my petitions, follow the advocacy petitions. These are going to be pretty important. What's going on? It's going to help, I believe, tied on to the Neural Rights Bill in California. I'm trying to get things set up. If that bill does pass, then things will be set up in a way where Health and Human Services already has this information. And as soon as that thing enacts, becomes law, well, I mean, there's potential action right there that can happen. So, no, especially people that live in California, that would definitely be a big help towards them. Um, but yeah, these petitions are pretty strong, pretty powerful. I do have some other plans for the future. I'm not going to talk about that right now because you normally when you start talking about stuff, they get ruined. But yeah, I do have plans for this stuff, and you know, I do stay in contact with a few different legislators, so we'll see where that goes. I think the Health and Human Services, based off the Neurorights legislation, especially the HHS in California, once that Neurorights bill passes, a lot should happen with that. A lot of different policies, a lot of different changes, maybe even different couple of different legislations, but we have to be up in there to make sure that we're part of that. Because all this is illegal research that we're doing, and it's already proven. It's already proven people have BCI units all inside their body just from nonlinear junction scans. When they find out from using that, they find out they have devices in their body. And I'll go into that a little bit. I can't talk about it too much because the people with their detailed information and whatnot, but typically, you'll have like devices in your temporal area, in your head right here, or in your facial area, which is going to be right here where there's nerves. So there has to be a nerve area where the implants might be. And then you have one on the back of your head, in the middle of your spine, your lower vertebrae, in your vertebrae. And sometimes,
Wow. Listen, they went when I was in the hospital for 45 days in 2021, they went in my spine twice and was in there for like 30 minutes.
really?
They said they were taking fluid one time, then they said they were putting something in there to do a contrast. I think they did
Wow.
something more
Was that before or after all this started?
because my stuff is ramped up ever since. I mean, ramped up 10 times worse than it ever was. 2021.
Wow. Wow.
They went in
Yeah,
my
that
spine with a
leaves
needle 2 different times.
yeah, that totally leaves the opportunity for them to do stuff to you, for sure.
Wow.
Anytime you're opened up, man, these doctors don't care. These surgeons, they don't care. They'll do whatever. It doesn't matter. They're gonna
Yeah.
get paid. They get paid. You know what I'm saying? Is it okay to vape on your show? Is that okay?
Yeah. I
Okay.
do.
All right. So yeah, basically that's the model concept that I'm going for. And just want to get people to sign up on change.org. Go to change.org/HHS investigate and change.org opt out medical, and then go to advocacy for neurorights.org. That's the website right there. So hopefully David will post my website in his description when he does a video. If you don't mind, is that okay with you?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay. And and maybe I do have a poster flyer content, if you can put that on the thumbnail, if you don't mind doing that either, just because it has the petition on there. And when people
Um,
see it, they'll know where to go. Yeah, that'll be a big help right there.
if you
I'll
can
just
email
share
it to
that.
me
Okay.
so I can, or is it on the website?
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, all the content's on the website. Yeah, so it's gonna be there. Let me go right here.
If you show me which one, I can go in and download it off on my computer and then use it as the thumbnail.
Okay.
Also, people, I always answer messages. It may be 3 or 4 days, but I always answer messages. So you got to understand, I'm getting attacked. I don't really like having my phone around me at all times. And sometimes I don't feel like talking at all. So I'm getting hit with V2K, direct energy weapons. So, but I always will answer your message eventually. So please don't get frustrated at me and understand. Well, most real TIs who go through this will understand that, but it's not that I'm ignoring you at all. It's just it's just life.
Yeah, and it's very brutal life. That's for sure.
Some people get mad if you don't answer right away. I mean, I get all kinds of emails and messages. I try to answer each and every one of them, and it's hard, and sometimes it's stressful, overwhelming.
Yeah, yeah, it can play a major part on your life, really bad. So, you know, I mean, I've seen people incarcerated. I've seen people at hospitalized, gone homeless, everything, anything. You don't have your own neural control, and you have some operation going on like this. It can definitely affect you in so many different areas, your personal life, your relationships, and it's ongoing. It doesn't stop. So, and that's the whole point.
Yeah,
Is
they've
that
really been breaking me down lately.
yeah.
but I'm not gonna give up. Also, I got interviews coming up this week. I got one tomorrow and one Sunday, and I think I got one Friday. I'm not sure yet, but so be looking for them too.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for those. Um, let's see what else. So we're here. Oh, looks like you signed. I appreciate that, David. Thank you for signing.
Yeah,
That's helpful. See, it allows you to export everything onto a page, and then you can have that tied on to a legislation piece along with the petitions and send it off, a recommendation, or if you get enough, see, if you get enough signatures, you can go around to legislators. Okay, this is another opportunity. This is a good opportunity because if you do that and you have a concise, small legislation built up, then tied onto these signatures will spark up a flare that, medical terminology is up to date today with BCI units. People are being subjected to these units without their consent, and then covert operations happen at that point. Like anybody can have your information. It can go all the way down the pipeline through everywhere. Just imagine. Just think about it. It goes everywhere. Okay. So, and they pay billions of dollars for years for this stuff, billions. And the platforms, this is a multi-billion dollar platform that they're using on people. So it's not gonna stop at all because if we don't do anything, I know that's that's pretty brutal to say, but it's not gonna stop. Um, you know, that's just the point. I mean, these people that are incorporating all these things, innovating all these technologies, the software designs, and then you have the expertise with the what they call domainers. If the domainers are using their expertise, and these guys are typically neuroscientists, they've been in the studies, they've been in the fields. Then you have your software engineers building all these concepts up. Well, they've been doing this stuff since the 1950s. They've been building up AI algorithms, experimenting on people for the purpose of what we're seeing today, basically. And the whole initiative is neuronal control. So that's where they're at, you know. So, and that's what they want. It doesn't really matter what happens. It doesn't matter what they do because they have the money, they have the funding, they have the whatever it is, whatever it takes to do all this. But still, we have laws. Nobody's above the other. And here in America, this is what we do. So, petitions are going to definitely be helpful towards the observation side of legislators and policymakers to see these things because if you tie on a little bill that's very concise that explains some of these details based off the evidence that people are getting, based off the neurorights, based off what's occurring today with the medical field that's so open. These little small high-tech devices are very smart. They can do a lot of different things, and they're built very, very awkwardly too. They have so many different kind of mechanisms in place that they have little filters. They have protection parameters. They have these things are basically like little small weapons put into your body to defend themselves. So that's a hard concept to believe, but it's true. And how they make these small devices, I mean, they've been doing this stuff for years. They have the know-how, they have the facilities to do it, they have the machines to do it. It's that complicated. But the production and the manufacturers that put all this stuff out, um, and then you have the people that facilitate it. You have the private hospitals that'll buy into doing this and get paid while they're doing it. Get paid
that's
to
it.
inject you. And then they'll use legal documentation to facilitate you. So in some ways, this can be legally binding, even though it's illegal, but you still weren't given that informed consent part that follows under the Health and Human Services guideline, informed consent over procedure that you didn't know about. But it can occur. You can sign a documentation in a hospital that gives them the consent to do it. So if you're going up under surgery and you sign a consent form without actually reading it, then that allows them to do what ever to your body. It doesn't matter. And it can be for a long period of time, indefinitely almost. So if that occurred and you signed that consent form, there's a lot of legality issues to that. But with this, you're still we're not verbally spoke to about how the procedure is going to be performed, what's going to happen, and the long period of time of the research. You were not notified verbally that you were going to be up on a research program. Do you consent to a research program? So that's a big issue for the United States. That's what needs to come out, and that's where people need to go. Now you
Well,
can,
well, it's more than the United States.
yeah, I know, but we're here in America.
Yeah. I'm
So,
just saying because I
but
got some viewers that are not in the United
well,
States.
they should study the same concept because all laws are almost the same, even though we have a Declaration of Independence, we have, all these things here, but people should still follow the same concept because it is all over the world. And that's the thing. But the primary focus, because we can't present legislations in Europe, we can only do it here in America. So,
Right.
but I mean, if someone wants to sign the petition that's in Europe, that'd be totally acceptable. We can do that. Um, that shows support, that's being supportive towards an end goal and exposing what's going on and trying to get legislations and laws and bills passed and all this stuff. Yeah, totally, totally, totally. Because I mean, and besides South America, America, from what I understand, is the only country that's getting laws based on neural rights and privacy data. That's from my understanding. I don't know what the news is over there as far as that, but I haven't seen much. But like the United Nations, they're trying to enact certain things internationally for neurotechnology such as this because they do recognize what's going on. That's a big hefty set right there is that they do. Like the cyber torture with Niels Melzer, it explains in detail that these are remote neural technologies and medical implants, such as BCI units in your body used for cyber torture and cyber technologies and AI on top of that. So Niels Melzer put this stuff out 4 or 5 years ago, 5 years ago. And yeah, that's a pretty big deal. And then you have the Neurorights stuff tied to that, which is what I do. I facilitate that, and I've been in activism for 8 years. So I mean, to see the changes and see where we're going with this, I see a lot of open doors for this kind of thing. But people that are gonna complain, people that are gonna go through the channels, are gonna need some sort of protection, witness protections, just based off the model of what they can do. So I mean, we're talking about a billion-dollar industry. We're gonna need protection from these people. I mean, just because they have money doesn't mean that they own everything, including your body or your brain or your neurons. They don't own anything that's part of your body. So,
And
um,
while everybody's studying Didi and what's going on with Didi, that's just a psyop to keep you uh not looking at what's really going on. Try to look into what's going on with the UN and what they're doing right now. They're trying to sign a pact for the future anyway. You have to research it because I can't really talk about it right here on this platform. Just just research what the UN's did the last couple of days. Um, so while they keep you busy looking at Diddy and all the people he did wrong and all that, they
yeah.
had a plan. They rolled that out for a reason at a certain time to cover up stuff that they were doing behind the scenes to take your
Oh yeah.
attention off of it.
Oh yeah. They always do that.
Nope.
They always do that. They always when something happens, they always do something else.
Yep.
Always. It's always like that. And it's so easy to catch on to because I mean, yeah, it totally makes sense what they're doing for sure. And I think that's crazy, but that's what they do. In my personal opinion, they're using AI to do all this stuff. They're pulling information from the web. They're pulling
They want
information.
AI to have global governance over it.
Exactly.
Global.
Exactly. That's like the satellites that are up in space. These are AI ran operated satellites. They're self-operated satellites. They're AI ran. So, if they have modulating systems that are weapons on board, or they can shoot certain photons at your brain very accurately too. It's AI computerized satellites up in space. Neuromorphic satellites. Check it out. Neuromorphic satellites up in space. So that's a big issue. And if they have thousands and thousands of these satellites up in space, then wow, wow. So that's another big issue that I can't go into details about too much because my insight on that is yeah. But when you have billions of dollars and you have the initiative and the plan to do whatever it is that you think you can do or that you want to do, then not everybody has to follow it, and everybody can petition against it. Everybody can vote out of it, and nobody has to be involved with anything that they're doing. These people are sick, they're twisted, and they have some rude awakenings coming, some rude concepts coming to them, and it's not gonna be pretty. It's not gonna be pretty. So,
Yeah, everybody look up UN Pact for the Future when y'all get a chance, because that'll
yeah, I
explain what
heard,
I'm
I've heard,
talking
I've heard
about.
about what you're talking about. But you said it was UN at the future, right?
UN Pact, PACT for the future. Yep. Everybody's been distracted, and that's been going on the last couple of days. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
they just signed it. They just adopted it.
Wow.
Working towards a responsible, sustainable digital future was adopted without a vote on the first start of the 2-day summit. Other themes include peace and security, global governance, sustainable development, climate change, digital cooperation, human rights. This is where the B system begins to accelerate. AI and digitization of everything is key in all of this, and we got to stop all this, especially
Hmm.
us getting our brains hacked.
Yeah.
I'm feeling
You know,
awful right now. I didn't even want to do this
exactly.
interview.
These people are just people. They're nothing. I mean, they're just creating an initiative and non-discriminatory, but they're basically Nazis. And communism, Nazis and communism. And I mean, look at it. That's what they are. They're Nazis. To me
Yep.
personally, World War II never ended. It just progressed into a different area.
Yeah,
And
we brought the scientists over here and they kept it up.
exactly. And they use all of our taxpaying money and funding to do all this stuff. So, that's like robbing us while they were creating all these agendas and doing all these things. Well, we can opt out at any time. Nobody has to follow this stuff. So my recommendation is to write the UN and say, I don't have to follow this. Cut me out. Thank you. You don't own me. Okay. Who are you to decide my future, my fate, and where I'm going? Okay. I'm a living human being. I don't have to be tied on to any network. I don't have to be tied on to any kind of BCI or any kind of method that you've produced for me. Okay. That's not for me. That's for you. You do that, not me. I don't have to. All right. My advocacy organization is advocacyforneurorights.org. You can join the website by viewing some of the materials I have on there, including the petitions, and just sign up, and I'll see you there. Can I stop sharing screen now? Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So
thanks, Lewis,
it's
for coming out, man.
yes,
And
sir. Thank you.
it may take me a minute to post this because I'm gonna lay down for a minute. I'm not even really feeling good. They've been hitting me hard since yesterday, but I will get it. I'll get it to you in the next 2 hours, sometime
Okay.
during the next 2 hours. I've already. Oh yeah, you want to use a certain thumbnail?
Yeah.
You could send that to me in an email. Do you have my email still?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have your email. All right.
Yeah, just email it to me, and I'll download it on the computer. Is that what you just shared?
Yeah, it's one of the petitions I have. So, and I also have another call that's coming up every Friday at between 8 and 10 o'clock Pacific time. So I'll post that.
Is that
And
what you thumbnail you want me to put?
yeah, and then I have please. Then I have let's see. Let
What's
me
it
try to
say?
find it right quick.
You want me to put this as the thumbnail, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean if you
And you
if you
don't
want.
have to pay $8. So because I know a lot of targets are broken stuff. All you gotta do is share it with a friend. Because I don't have money like that. But so don't think, well, you're just putting this out there to get money. You do not have to pay the $8. You can just share it. And
Yeah, I'm
here's
not
this
asking for
conference
money.
call thing.
I'm not asking for any money, but if you want to donate, there's a little donation button on the website that you can go into for GoFundMe and just maybe add like $5 if you want, $10.
And here's a
Or you can
conference
chip
call.
in at change.org if you want to help promote the petitions at change.org, then that'll be helpful. But you know, just for like I pay for my own all my material, I pay for my own work. Um, you know, that's what I do. Uh, I don't ask for a whole lot. But let me see. There's another. Oh, and let me talk about this call right quick. Okay. So it's gonna be every Friday on Free Conference Call, and it's gonna be the call of the targeted. That's the name of the call. Friday night call with Lewis, and it's gonna be on a free conference call. You can send me an email through my website at advocacy advoforneurorights.org or at gmail.com if you need the call information, or follow tievents.org. That's
And
with
why don't you let me make that the thumbnail?
what, the call?
Well,
Yeah, if you want, you can do that. Here's another one that you can use if you want.
oh,
Hold on.
also, Lewis, if you got anybody that's interested in telling their story, please send them my way.
Okay. Yeah, I might have somebody that can do that. But as far as like technology wise, she might not have. I don't know. She might be able to because she gets on calls all the time. So, and Zoom, so she might be able to do it.
So which one of these you want me to use?
Well, if you can use all three of them, I think you can tie them into to the video.
Oh, I don't know how to use three. I'm old fashioned. I just use one.
Okay.
What do you mean tie them into the video? Where to show in the video?
Yeah, because you can I think you can modulate the video a little bit by adding different kind of content. It just depends on your the station when you go on the
All
YouTube
right.
station. I mean, I think you can do that. I saw something on that, but
Well, hold on. I'm fitting to stop recording and then we can figure it out.
okay. All right, thank
Thanks
you
for your
everybody.
time, Lewis. Thanks for everything you're doing for the TI community.
I appreciate it, man.
Um, I will in my community post, I will post that conference call information.
Okay.
Like a post, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, please, because that's a new call, and I'm gonna try and initiate a lot of different things on that call.
right. And like I said, if you message me and I haven't messaged you, know I will message you back. It's not that I'm ignoring you. I'm going through some stuff too.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I will be doing interviews later on this week because I've already got some scheduled. So stay tuned for them too.
Thank
And
you.
God bless all TIs. And hopefully we can do something about this one day.
Yeah.